She aches for the kind of touch that stops time. The kind of touch that makes her forget where she is, who's watching, what comes next. A hand at the small of her back that sends heat through her spine. Fingers lingering at her hip, steady, claiming. A graze along her collarbone that makes her breath hitch in her throat. These aren't moves, they're invitations, and the men who know them, they don't chase, they don't beg. They own firmament with nothing but their hands, 4 places, 4 touches. She can't resist, even if she wanted to. And when you learn them, you'll never look at her same again, and she never forget though you made her feel. 1. The small of her back. It's one of the most underrated yet most primal places you can touch a woman, the small of her back. Why does it feel so powerful? Because it sits at the crossroads of safety and seduction. When your hand rests there, just above her hips, just below her waist, it sends a message without words. You're with me. I've got you. It's subtle. It's not aggressive, but it's undeniably masculine, and women feel that. It creates a quiet charge in her body, a mix of emotional comfort and physical awareness. Because this spot is deeply primal, close enough to feel intimate, far enough to feel protective. When done with intention, this touch isn't about possession. It's a brute presence. Think about it. When you guide her through a crowded place by placing your hand there. When you lean in toss-beak and your palm rests gently at the small of her back. When you stand behind her, grounding her with just that one point of contact. It's simple, but it communicates volumes. You're safe, you're seen, you're mine. In this moment, most men overdo touch, making it obvious clumsy or too quick. But the small of her back thrives on calm confidence. A light, steady hand. Nourish, no need to prove anything. Because of real secret, women don't just respond to where you touch them. They respond to who you are when you do it. And a man who can touch the small of her back with grounded, unshakable presence, that's a man she can't stop thinking about. Hold on a second. I've got something that'll change the game for you. The Female Mind Control Handbook. It's completely free and reveals the subtle secrets to making women deeply desire you. Hit the link in the description or pinned comment to grab it. 2. The curve of her hip. There's areas in this touch feels different. The curve of her hip is where her body tells its own story, where femininity meets grounded stability. And when you place your hand there, it's not just touch. It's communication, unlike holding her hand, which feels polite, or touching her face, which feels openly romantic. Touching the curve of her hip is primal. It bypasses words and drops straight into instinct. This touch doesn't just say, I'm her. It says, I'm leading and I want her with me. It's an anchor, and women feel that when you guide her through a doorway with your hand at her hip. When you pull her slightly closer in a conversation without saying a word. When you're dancing and your hand rests there, firm but effortless, it creates an undeniable tension. Why? Because the hip is symbolic? It's where intimacy begins but doesn't fully claim. It's bold without being invasive. It is dominant without being forceful. Done right, this touch tells her, you can relax, I'm in control, and here's the secret. This spot also tests your energy. If you're anxious or unsure, she feel it immediately. If you're real very aggressive, she pull back. But if you're grounded, calm, and intentional, she melt into it. Because this isn't just about contact. It's about command, not the loud, theatrical kind, but the quiet authority of a man who knows how to lead. Not just with words, but with touch. And when you can do that, she won't just notice, she crave it. 3. Her collarbone. It's one of the most overlooked yet most intimate places you can touch a woman. Her collarbone. At first glance, it seems subtle, almost insignificant, but touch is not just about nerves and skin. It's about meaning and the collarbone. It's a quiet place of vulnerability, a spot where closeness feels personal. This isn't a place strangers touch. It's not casual. It's reserved for connection. That's why when your fingers trace lightly along her collarbone, whether intentionally or playfully, it ignites something deeper than surface-level attraction. Because of this touch says, I see you. I'm close now to feel you, but control it enough not to take more than this momentalos. And that balance of intimacy with its force is magnetic. Why it works? The collarbone is fascinating because it sits at the intersection of exposure and defense. It's physically close to the heart and lungs, vital areas why instinctively protect. It's also visually prominent, especially when sure is something that reveals it. A dress, an off-shoulder top, even work clothes. This makes it a psychologically charged zone. Touching her collarbone isn't about groping or claiming. It's about gently occupying a space near her core that most men never dare approach. It's intimate because it's non-sexual yet deeply suggestive. It's a place that communicates. I'm confident enough to be this close and patient enough to stay here. And patience combined with presence drives her wild. How to do it right? The key to this touch is subtlety. This isn't about grabbing. It's about grazing. Imagine this. You're sitting next to her, and your hand lightly brushes her collarbone as you adjust her necklace. You lean in to whisper something, and your fingertips rest briefly against her collarbone bear, pulling away. You playfully trace along the curve of her shoulder down to her collarbone, then stop, leaving her wanting more. It's the lingering that does it, not clumsy, not hurried, just intentional and calm. And here's their secret. You stop before she expects you to. You don't drag it out. You don't turn it into something overtly sexual. You leave the energy hanging. And that unfinished feeling, it sticks in Herman like a song she can't stop replaying for the outside of her thigh. This one carries a weight unlike any other. The outside of her thigh isn't just physical, it's primal. It's where touch stops being decorative and starts becoming grounded. This isn't a handhold. It isn't a polite brush off fingers. It's contact that says without words, I'm here, I'm present. I'm not going anywhere. Why does this touch feel so irresistible? Because it lands in space between safety and claim? It's protective, shielding her as you walk together, steadying her as you sit beside. But it's also undeniably bleichard. It carries an unspoken under you're with me. And that undertone doesn't just make her feel desired. It makes her feel contained in the best way. Like her stormy energy has finally found an anchor. Picture this, you're seated next to her in a car, at a bar, on the couch. The room is buzzing, people are talking. But your hand rests lightly yet firmly on the outside of her thigh. Not moving, not squeezing, just there, still and present. Suddenly the noise around you fades. That simple point of contact becomes its own conversation. It tells her she doesn't need to perform or overthink, that she can relax into the moment because your presence is steady enough for both of you. The reason this touch works so powerfully is simple. It bypasses Herman and speaks directly to her body. It doesn't ask for permission, not because it's invasive, but because it feels natural. It doesn't grope or grab, it grounds, and when a man can ground her like that, her defenses soften. She feels safe enough to be vulnerable, excited enough to feel alive. It's one of the few places where both of those sensations can coexist. But here's the catch. This isn't a touch you fake. If you're nervous, unsure, or overthinking, she feel it. If you treat it like a move, something you're doing to get a reaction, she pull away. This touch only works when it comes from real presence. From being so secure in yourself that you don't need to fidget, explain, or seek reassurance. You just are. And that energy is addictive. It's also incredibly versatile. Walking through a crowd, place your hand there to guide her. Sitting side by side, rest it lightly, letting her lean into the of it. Standing close, briefly take her thigh as you lean in to say something, then pull away before she expects you to. That rhythm of presence and release builds more tension than any overt gesture ever could. And tension is everything. Women don't fall for touch that's predictable. They fall for touch that makes them feel like something is about to happen, like you could take things further, but choose not to. The outside of her thigh is perfect for this because it's suggestive without crossing the line. It flirts with the edge of intimacy while leaving her mind racing with the question, what if? When you do this right, she doesn't just notice, she replays. It, the way your hand felt steady but unforced. The way you didn't overdo it. The way you made her feel both safe and wanted at the same time. That's what lingers. That's what Makesha crave more. This touch more than most separates the boys from the men, because it's not about the hand itself. It's about the energy behind it. Quiet, sure, unmoving. And when you can bring that kind of presence into something as simple as touching the outside of her thighs, she never forget how it matter her feel. She won't tell you this. She might not even know how to explain it, but these touches, the small of her back, the curve of her hip, her collarbone, the outside of her thigh, they bypass her walls and speak directly to her instincts. If you've ever touched a woman and felt the moment shift, that instant when she melted into your presence, comment below. She felt it. Let's see how many men actually understand the power of real touch.